Hey, it's Arlo. Glad you could stop by. My last video, we listened to an instrumental I wrote using the new Joe Satriani Amplitube collection. This time, we're going to be checking out some of the T-RackS plugins from IK Multimedia that I used mixing that song. So let's go check it out. Alright, so let's get right to it and check this out. So first thing I'm going to show you here, really what I'm trying to do in this song is get it to where in the beginning, the mix, I'm working on my kick drum and my bass guitar to just try to lay the foundation there. Then I work with the other drums after that, but the kick is where I started. And the first thing I added in here was this T-RackS Black 76. This is a limiting amplifier, and it does some compression as well. What's cool with all these T-RackS plugins is you can adjust the size of them, which is really cool. So if you need to make it bigger, you can make it as big as you want, and there'll be no degradation of the picture. So it still doesn't get all fuzzy when you make it bigger. But that's a pretty cool feature with all their plugins. I have some other plugins, and they don't do that. They only come this size, and sometimes I'm like squinting in there with my old eyes trying to see where we're at. But very cool feature. I like that. And I was trying to get this song mixed pretty quick for you guys because I have some other stuff that I'm working on too, some other songs. So I pretty much just went right to some of the presets in these plugins, which is cool. Like when you're just learning, you know, for me, I have some background in audio where I used to do live sound for some bands, and I worked on some bigger PA systems, so I get how some of this stuff works. Still got a ton to learn in terms of home recording. But if you're totally new to this and you're like, you bought your $150 interface that came with some software for your DAW, and you're starting to record stuff and you're putting things together and you're like, well, it just doesn't sound that great. You can get a couple of these plugins and it'll just make them sound so much better and start to glue everything together. And it's not super hard to learn, especially with everything you can learn on YouTube and everything. But so in this one I pulled up, there's a bunch of different presets in here. I just put that drum comp on there, so that's the one I was using. Let's see, the top's got a cool feature here. So there's like a back and forth button here. So if you start to change what you're doing, if you're like, oh, I didn't want to do that, it'll put a little star here too. You just click back, and then when the star goes away, then you're back to where you began there. So that's a pretty cool thing where you can just get back to where you started. They also have this ABCD thing here where you can load up different presets and like AB them, so you can see if you like this or this, or if you're tweaking your own, you can also copy them here and put them into the other B, C, and D. So you can compare like how different sounds are while you're inside of your song in the mix. So that's a very cool feature. There's a reset button, you can hit that, so if you want to go back. But I like these back buttons here. I think it's pretty cool. Then you got your input here. This is interesting with the 76 because it's a little different, I think, than some compressors where, yeah, the input is, you're increasing the gain, but it's also setting the threshold. So while you're driving it more, you're also turning up the threshold. So what this really does, to explain to people that don't have any idea what I'm talking about, it just kind of crunches things down the more you turn this up. And it also reduces the gain, which is why then you'll get into this output knob here where you can turn it back up, because this will bring it down the more you increase the threshold there. So there's that. There's attack time, release time, like how quick it's going to hit the signal and then how quick or fast it's going to release it. I got both of them set pretty fast. The more you go this way, the faster the attack time is, faster release time. You can hit the off button here. That'll turn off the compressor, and it just turns into a limiting amplifier. So it just is giving color, and it's not doing all the compression there. And let's see, then you have also your ratios for compression, 4, 8, 12, and 20. You can hit the all button too, and that'll hit all of them and really scrunch everything down and distort it. So there's also that feature. And then there's this here is that'll turn off it'll bypass the plug-in, so you can hit that there. So that's pretty much the gist of it. So with this one, you know, we got it set at, the ratio is set at 8. They're at minus 26.5 is what the input's set at. And then you see the output's cranked pretty good there. So first thing we're gonna do is I got it set up so just the kick drum's gonna play here in the beginning of this song. And let's turn this off. And then we'll turn the kick drum on and I'll let it play for a little bit, and then I'll pop on the Black 76. And to give you an idea, what I'm really shooting for with the drums and the bass in this is I want the drum to be that real low, just kind of thump, like you're thinking like a Viking ship. It's like boom, boom, like just a heavy, just pounding Viking drum. And then when we get to the bass, I'm gonna have that live in a different spot. There's gonna be a little more musical, still providing some low end, but more musical low end. We're just thumping down here. So let's see how this sounds. This is with the Black 76 off. I'll say too, you should be listening with headphones, because if you're listening to this on your phone, you'll be like, oh, that sounds exactly the same, Arlo. Put some headphones in, you'll hear the difference. So you can tell, like when we pop on this drum compressor, it just scrunches everything down, and it just has this long tail to it where it's just boom, boom. So I really like what that's done to the drums. Like I said, real quick, I just went in the preset, loaded up. I messed with the knobs a little bit, but it was set to where I like it. Now, if we come listen to it kind of in where the song's at, let's do that, and we'll do the same thing, turn it on and off so you can hear the difference. So this is, I'll turn it off, and then I'm gonna turn it on. So that sounds really good. And that's the thing, when you're starting to get into this type of mixing, you can solo out the drums too. So we could just hit the solo button and only hear that kick drum, right? But you really want to listen to it in the context of how it sits with everything else. So don't just do everything in solo. Make sure you're pulling up all the instruments so you can hear everything there and where it's sitting at after you add compression and other plugins, stuff like that. So like that, we got that big boom going on. Now what else did I do to the drums? So I added in also this British channel, which is very cool. Bunch of cool things with this. Also, you can do the same thing with the screen, make it bigger, go back and forth. So if we start here kind of, and I also added I just jumped into a preset on this. It was like kick boom. I tried kick sharp. I like the boom. I like the boom. The boom's good. So, so we have EQ at the top, so we can control our very low here. Then there's a low mid control here, high mid control, high, and then we have low cut, high cut fillers in there. You've got a gate, an expander down here. And then there's a compressor built into this, which we're using as well. And another input here where you can drive the signal coming in to the British channel. So what are we doing in this plug-in? What is this kick boom preset doing? Well, if you look over here, well, let me show you before we get into that. There's also a cool feature with this that some people might miss is there's a little B button here. If you hit that, see how these buttons here are brown now? And then we hit it again and it goes back to black. The brown buttons have a much wider, what they call Q for the EQ, so it's going to take out a much wider band of frequencies. Whereas if you do the black band, it's going to suck it in and take a much tighter frequency, so it's not going to get some of the transients or stuff outside of that frequency that you're cutting or boosting. So on this one, it's using that black. It's using the black Q, so it's very tight. And what is that doing? So in the lows here, you can cut or boost from minus 15 to plus 15 dB, and it's boosting like 11.5 dB at 85.4 hertz. So down in that 85, that lower spot, we're just boosting the bunch there to give it even more of that boom that Viking boom we're hunting for. So that's what it's doing up in the EQ, and then not much else happening. Low mids, high mids, highs. We're not doing anything, and I'm not using any of these cuts. We are compressing here. We got the threshold set at -9 and about a 4:1 ratio on the compressor. So it's doing some squash in there too. We squashed a little in the Black 76, and we squashed a little bit more here. But it sounds like this gives us a really killer boom with the other one we have. So let's let me get it back to just that drum in the beginning. Yeah, we'll do that. And then I'll turn it off, then I'll turn it back on here. So you can see there the compressor was kicking in, it was squashing it down a little bit more, and then just down in that 85, it's just pushing out more, just giving us this big, long, boomy tail down there, which I think is pretty cool for the song. Just gives it a real nice heaviness there. So let's go back and let's play it in the context of the song again. Remember, we want to always do that. And I'm going to turn both of them off, and then I'll turn them on so you can hear the difference. All right, so here we go. This is with them both off. So you can tell there, with both of them turned off, the kick drum pretty much goes away. You can't hear it in the mix well at all. So combination Black 76 and that British EQ just made it come through very nicely in that low end and really separate it out from the bass there, which is cool. If we check on the bass, what I did there was the same thing. I just brought in that British EQ again there. So on this one, we're boosting 9.3 dB at 200 kilohertz. So, down at 85, lower, we're boosting the bass drum down there, and the bass, we're boosting up in 200 land there. And then we're doing a cut over here at 58.1. We're cutting everything off below that, so the bass can have all that space below 58, which gives it a nice... the bass just comes through, like I said, a little more musical, a little more punchy on top of the kick drum. So let's listen to that if we can. Well, let's make this a little smaller. And let's just solo the bass drum, or the bass. So we'll solo the bass here. Didn't want to do that. Solo the bass. Let's see how this sounds. This is with it off. No SSL. So you can see the compression's kicking in there. And it's also boosting that that low 200, just giving us that extra thump and body down there. It sounds good. So check out, watch the compressor here. Watch it's where that's clicking in at. You'll see it right in here. So sounds good. Let's try it in our mix and see how it sounds. I'll turn it off and then I'll turn it on. So this is off in the mix. So it brings the bass out there where it needs to be, and I was pretty happy with that. You know, real quick, just getting those set up. The heavy low kick drum and the bass on top sounds really good. So I was pretty pleased with that. The only other stuff that I really added in here, and what I could have done, you know, going thinking back now, is I could have just used British channel on all these. Which my buddy Dave Kersner at IK, he does the stuff for Instagram. He'll be on usually at 5 o'clock during the week. You'll see Dave on there. Make sure you check that out because they give away. That's how I got T-RackS Deluxe from. I answered another Pink Floyd question, I think, or something. But check Dave out at 5 on Instagram. It's IK Multimedia on Instagram. But yeah, so I could have put British channel on every channel, which is, Dave talks about that all the time. He's got a little SSL mixer that he uses in his home studio. There's interesting, Kevin Shirley has, and I think I've talked about this before, he's got a 72 channel mixer in his studio, this SSL. It's unbelievable, but you could add this on everything because it's, the EQ works on any of this stuff, drums, guitars, bass. On the guitars, I used the Equal from T-RackS, and I just used it on all the guitars just to cut stuff below 100 hertz. So it's just they weren't getting in the way of the kick drum there. That's the big thing that I did. Other thing I used too on my master bus, I used this EQP1A. It's like a Pultec. Pretty cool with this. I used it on the master, so this is affecting the whole song. And you can boost or attenuate different frequencies in the lows. You can boost or attenuate different frequencies in the highs. So there's some cool stuff you can do with that. I did some boosting at 100 there, and then I attenuated in 4 because the guitars were a little harsh. I was pushing a little bit too much, so there was a little bit too much in that 4, so I cut some back just off everything there, and that worked pretty good to do that. I have a lot to learn on this one. I was just watching Glenn Fricker just put something out today, and he's talking about metal guitars, where he uses on metal guitar channels, and he boosts and attenuates the same frequencies in here at the same time, and it does some, I don't understand it yet, but it gives us some goofy wave shape to it that makes it sound very unique. And I was listening to it on metal guitars, and it took these crunchy, very distorted metal guitars, and it just made them a lot clearer. So this is going to be cool to mess with on guitars too once I get a shot at that. This is another one Dave Kersner talks about because he's got Pultecs in his home studio that he loves to talk about. So that's kind of how I thought of doing that on the master bus there. I think he mentioned that in one of the Instagram feeds. So cool stuff. I had a lot of fun messing with these, and you can too. You can go to IK, get their, it's the T-RackS custom shop, and I can show you that here. You can just, yeah. So you can go into T-RackS custom shop, and you can, just the same thing as all the Amplitube stuff I show you. You can go in there and try different stuff out. It's pretty cool. I've already got a bunch of stuff here. But you can try them out before you buy them. And then if you want to buy them, then you just get them. It's best to get them in the package deal, and they run killer sales all the time too. So you can get them that way, or you can go to Instagram and just hang out there and try to answer the question at the end of the day, and you can win some great stuff from IK. Pretty cool company that they've given away a ton of stuff. So it's great for us, you know, us trying to record at home and learn this stuff. It's very, very helpful. So thank you, IK Multimedia, for that. We appreciate it. So yeah, so that's everything. There more could be done with this mix for sure. But I'm gonna move on. I got my own songs I'm gonna work on here. If you have any comments though on how I use these plugins, or different things I could do with this mix, you can go listen to that song. I have another video where the whole song's on there. It's the Joe Satriani Amplitube. I called it a Satch Song. And you can go on there, listen to the song, and get back in here and say, hey, Arlo, you should have done this. Or you can do it on that video too, but you need to do this, you need to do that. I love feedback. I'm all about learning. So feedback is really cool. Just be nice. We got to be nice too. Don't be mean. We need more nice in this world. So make sure you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button to see my next video coming up. I'm going to be doing something on my Atom T8Vs with the Arc 3 Studio from IK. I have a room that's not treated by any means, and it's set up very funny. So it's going to be interesting to use the Arc 3 because it's a room correction software to where it'll help me get a much flatter EQ for while I'm mixing. So I'm going to try to get that video up here for you in the next week here. But once I get that, it's going to make my mixing even faster and sound better, I think. So that's going to be cool. So check it out. So hit the subscribe, hit the little bell so you know when that happens. Hit the like. I like the likes. And then just leave me some comments. I appreciate it. So I hope you all get to play some guitar today. Have a good one.